There is some kind of gang war in Cleveland involving the Teamster Union and professional gangsters. The figures over recent months show that for those involved, life expectancy is very short and getting shorter. Here's Brian Ross in Cleveland.
61-year-old John Nardi was an important Ohio Teamster officer and considered by federal investigators to be the leader of organized crime in Cleveland. Today, Nardi was killed after a bomb went off in his car as he attempted to start it. The car was parked in a lot next to Teamster headquarters in Cleveland. Federal authorities say Nardi's murder is part of a continuing gang war here over control of organized crime rackets. Nardi is the fourth major organized crime figure to be killed in Cleveland in the last year. Federal authorities say there are similar struggles now underway among mob families in Philadelphia, New Orleans, Chicago, and New York. Investigators expect there will be more killings in those cities and here in a violent realignment of who controls organized crime activities in this country. Brian Ross, NBC News, Cleveland.
Tonight's segment 3, The Cleveland Mob, in which our star crime reporter, Brian Ross, traces the history of organized crime in Cleveland from a time when it was untouchable to the present day when it has been touched and touched meaningfully.
This is a scene from the television series The Untouchables.
The Untouchables, starring Robert Stack as Eliot Ness.
For years, a popular show about the legend of Eliot Ness, a federal agent who fought Chicago gangsters in the 1930s.
Who was driving?
This was Eliot Ness in real life. And what's missing from the legend is what happened after Chicago, in Cleveland, when Ness was brought in to fight Cleveland gangsters. In Cleveland, Ness found he was up against less flamboyant, more sophisticated mobsters, different from Chicago's. And Ness wasn't able to do much about the Cleveland mob, and no one else was for almost 50 years. Until now. Last October, a mob hitman blew up this car and killed a mafia rival. It was the beginning of the most revealing investigation ever made of one mafia operation in one city. A witness spotted the getaway car. The FBI caught the hitman, and he agreed to talk. First, the investigation led to the indictments of the men believed to be at the top of the Cleveland Mafia. One of them, a Cleveland city official who turned out to be a mafia lieutenant. He is now a fugitive on the FBI's 10 most wanted list. Then the investigation led the FBI to a mafia spy in its own Cleveland office, a file clerk who supplied mafia bosses in Cleveland with confidential reports. And now the investigation has led to this man, James the Weasel Fradiano, the highest-ranking mafia figure ever to agree to become a witness for the government. Fradiano is from Cleveland, but years ago moved to California, where he became the acting mafia boss.
We have as our first witness today, Joseph Valachi.
Investigators say that not since a Senate Rackets Committee heard from mafia soldier Joe Valachi in 1960 has there been a mafia witness as important as Fradiano, the Weasel. Lieutenant Andrew Vanue of the Cleveland Police Department.
Well, I'm sure that he can tell us who the members of some of these syndicates are, what influence or authority they have. I'm sure that he can give us names of public officials who serve as protectors of these organized criminal syndicates. I can't remember of anybody who probably would be of more importance than him.
Fradiano is so important because Cleveland is such an important center of organized crime in this country. In a city known more for steel mills and shipping, the mob was able to make hundreds of millions of dollars in the rackets, industriously, quietly, with very little attention. And the Cleveland mob sent its money and its men all over the country, shrewdly investing its millions. It was Cleveland mob money that built the pornography business in city after city. It was Cleveland mob money that built the first casinos in Las Vegas. This man, Mo Dalitz, something of a celebrity at Las Vegas golf tournaments, is the man authorities say heads the Cleveland mob's operations in Las Vegas and Southern California. Just as powerful is another Cleveland man, convicted union racketeer William Presser, the man who for years controlled the millions in the Teamsters' corrupt Central States Pension Fund. James the Weasel Fradiano is now under heavy guard. His testimony already has led to the indictments of mafia bosses in Los Angeles, and he is expected to testify in other big cities soon. But what he knows best are the people who gave him his start in organized crime, the Cleveland Mob. Several of this country's most important organized crime figures grew up in Cleveland, at the same time, in the same neighborhood on the east side. Among them, James the Weasel Fradiano. And because of Fradiano, what began as an investigation of another mob killing has become a case study of how mobsters in one city, Cleveland, got rich, very rich, and used their money and power in places throughout the United States. Brian Ross, NBC News, Cleveland.